This is the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast. For help with your retirement, schedule a 15-minute phone conversation with the team at ProStatus Financial Advisors today. Just call 866-597-1040 and at thesavvyinvestorradio.com.
And welcome back to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and podcast with the team at ProStatus Financial. Ryan Herbert is here. Lawrence Kiley is here. My name is Randy Cook. And each week we talk about some of the issues of planning for retirement and some of the questions that you might have. And I don't know why it is, guys, but as you get closer to retirement, you may never have looked at Market Watch or CNBC or Fox Business your whole life. But all of a sudden, it becomes important. So you start looking at these headlines, and I was looking at this week. Robert Kiyosaki, he's a big financial author. He's written some very, very good books. But this week he said, baby boomers will be homeless or living in RVs as Social Security and Medicare are broke. I thought, well, that's kind of extreme. So I started looking around for some other predictions, and I found these. Warren Buffett said, this incredible period of economic prosperity will be done by the end of the year. He said that in 2023. Harry Dent, who is always out there predicting the end of the world, predicted a major market crash in 2023. He said NVIDIA would drop 90 to 98%. The market was up 20% in 2023. And finally, in 2004, a writer trashed this IPO, a new offering out there. He said this stock will be highly disappointing and not maintain its market share. He was talking about Google. All right. Swing and a miss on a lot of that. Ryan, do you have people that come into you for the first time and they're concerned about headlines and that's what brought them in? Or do you have clients that see these things and they are concerned and they come in? How do you handle some of the craziness that the headlines bring?
Well, I always see headlines that are, essentially just a headline. It's kind of like, just trying to get clicks. It's clickbait. Anytime I see anything about Harry Dent, I love it. A number of years ago, when I first started, Mike and I used to follow Harry Dent, very, very well-known economist, market prognosticator, I guess you could call him. But his claim to fame was he called the crash of 2008. But then, as Mike and I continue to follow him, he kept saying every single year, we were going to have a market crash. We're going to have a market crash. And you kind of you look back and you say, well, if you say the market's going to crash every single year and then eventually it does, well, yeah, technically you did call the stock market was going to crash. Even a blind squirrel will find a nut every now and then, but I don't see many clients coming in because they read headlines. I might get one or two emails a year, be like, hey, did you see this? And then I'll have to kind of explain, really the logic behind what we're talking about. Just for, everyone who's saying that this stock is going to absolutely crash and fall off the face of the earth. You've got articles like Smart Money or the Motley Fool saying, it's really just going to take off. And it's all really just for clicks and things like that. So, any information that you're ever getting from a printed news source or a website, you have to take with a grain of salt. I think far often what I happen to see is a lot of clients will tell me, hey, I saw this thing on Instagram. And I'm just like, all right, well, let's think about this. Anybody can put out what they want to do on Instagram. There's no vetting. It's just one person talking in front of something and sending it out there. I could do the same exact thing with, anything that we do. We put stuff on Instagram, but you always have to take it with a grain of salt. If it sounds too good to be true, it normally is. I have buddies who send me stuff about cash value life insurance, stuff that they see, and they're asking me all these questions. I'm like, yeah, if the situation works out exactly how this person is describing it, exactly how it's illustrated, and the stock market does 6.88% every single year for the next 20 years, yes, your $10,000 is going to grow to $2,556,000. But if you have 1 year that doesn't do that, it changes everything. So, you always have to be cognizant of the news source, of the source that you're looking at. And, you can't do retirement planning on a year-to-year basis. You can't plan your retirement on a year-to-year basis. You can't plan it by looking at the news headlines. Every January 1st, I'm going to look at the headlines. I'm going to look at it again June 1st, and I'm going to look at it, at these set intervals and make my decisions based on what someone over the internet says. Retirement planning, you want to take the time to sit down and plan out all the years of your retirement. You want to take the time to secure your income so that no matter what happens in the stock market, whether the stock market's going to crash crazy like Warren Buffett said it would in 2023, or Harry Dent, says NVIDIA would crash and it just kind of skyrocketed. You want to make sure that your plan can ignore all of that noise and provide you a reliable, predictable income stream in retirement. Boring is the best way to go when it comes to retirement planning. You don't want to be swinging for the fences every single year in your retirement plan, because then your retirement plan becomes dependent on that. You want a retirement plan that's just getting you base hits every year, 3 base hits in a row. You're all the way around the baseball field, home run. That's what works. You want to have a reliable, predictable income stream in retirement so you can ignore all this noise. And, whatever money you're not using to secure your income, well, you can have it out there in the market. You can go chase these news articles from The Motley Fool and Smart Investor. And I'm not saying that those aren't good places to get information, but, normally what I see when I get those ads from them is this is the next NVIDIA stock, stuff like that, to get you to click on it, to get you to subscribe so they can collect their money, just to show you here's kind of what we think. Can it work out for you? It absolutely can, but can it backfire? Same probability there. So that's kind of what I think when it looks like this. But, Robert Kiyosaki, I think he did Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yes, he did.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Baby boomers are going to be living in RVs. That's the goal for some of them. That's the goal. I want to sell my entire house and buy an RV and drive across the country. My in-laws did it for years and years and years. So, that's kind of my thought on that.
You're listening to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and podcast with Ryan Herbert and Lawrence Kiley. And Lawrence, if you look in the news, there's concerns there politically. There's concerns about markets. There's concerns about international news events. There's problems with taxes. There's problems with Social Security. It's there every day. If you let that stuff kind of dominate your thoughts and your investing decisions, I got a feeling you're going to be kind of that knee-jerk day trading kind of person moving money in and out. And that's not the person we want you to be either, is it?
Right. And it's almost always negative. All the news and reports that are coming out, it's almost always negative. I've heard for the last probably 5 years that the housing market's going to crash. Hasn't happened yet. I think the biggest one that we constantly hear is the dollar is crashing and should I go buy gold?
Okay.
And then we kind of always ask, are you talking about like a gold ETF or are you talking about physical gold? And they almost always say physical gold. And we say, okay, well, you can go buy physical gold, go put it in a safe. If you want to do that as a hobby, that's perfectly fine. That's not part of our strategy is to recommend buying a certain percentage of physical gold. And we always kind of joke that if you have to go now to the grocery store or to go buy gas and use a bar of gold to do that, we probably have bigger problems and you probably should have bought bullets and toilet paper. So it kind of it's just these headlines can just be kind of crazy sometimes on what they want you to do or think. And it's a lot of fear mongering. So it's really just comes back to what Ryan had mentioned is really having a plan in place, a sound financial plan that you can depend on and making sure that that income is secured. Make sure that you've done strategic tax planning so that when laws change or things do change and it's not favorable tax-wise for you, you've already planned for that. You've already become tax efficient, hopefully by that time, because you did implement a tax strategy. You came to us here at ProStatus and we talked about tax planning and how to become tax efficient in retirement. You have that income plan set up so that whether the market is going up or down, yeah, we're happy if it goes up. We're not as happy if it goes down. But regardless of what's happening in the stock market, we have our income plan and our income streams. We have that bucket of money set up so it's secured. And we know regardless of what happens, I'm getting my, whether it be $100,000 a year, $50,000 a year, $150,000 a year, we've secured that bucket so we're not worried about what's happening in the market. So that way, regardless of what headlines are happening and what they're talking about is going to be, what's the next big thing to drop, We already have a plan in place, and we'll adjust and tweak the plan as we see fit and doing what's in your best interest, because that's our job, right? Based on what tax laws change, based on what's happening globally or in the stock market, it's our job to find those solutions or adjust the plan accordingly. And that's why you hire us as your advisor.
Ryan, when you talk about influences on people's financial decisions, I got to believe that family is also a big one here. My son says I should get into crypto. My wife says she wants me to buy gold. All these different things that my family, and you can probably look at them and say MarketWatch doesn't know what they're doing. But when you look at them and say your dad doesn't know what he's doing, that's a different conversation. So talk to me a little bit about the family influence here and how that influences people's decisions.
Family is who you trust the most. And if you get advice from family, it tends to carry some more weight. Just the other day, I had one of my longtime clients come to me. She wanted to talk about her portfolio. And we've been taking, a number of years ago, she said to me, Ryan, I don't need this money. This money is ultimately for my son and daughter. I'm tired of seeing the downside. I love it seeing it when the stock market's up. I love seeing my account up 8, 10, 15, 20% when the market's zooming, but I hate seeing when the stock market's down, the value of my portfolio goes down. And, I understand the ups and downs of the market, but I'm tired of it. I don't want to see it anymore. So probably, 5 years ago, we shifted her entire portfolio over to CDs and structured notes and municipal bonds to help save her a little bit of money on taxes there. And, she's earning 3, 4, 5% a year, and she's been perfectly happy and perfectly content with it. Mm-hmm. And just the other day, she came in, she said, my son was talking to me about everything that he's been doing with this new financial advisor that he's hired. And he's up in New Jersey. And, I don't want to, I already hate driving to see you because I live on the Eastern Shore. I'm certainly not going to drive up to Jersey to see these people, but, he has his money in, it's called a managed account, and, it goes up a little bit and it goes down a little bit, but mostly it's been going up. And I was like, you know what, Linda, we talked about this a number of years ago. This is how we used to do things for you. And you told me that you didn't want to see any of that. And she goes, oh, yeah, you're right. Well, I was just listening to him, and this is what he was suggesting I was doing. So, while, yes, suggestions from family can certainly be helpful, it's not always, the best thing for you, and, you have to think about if you're getting recommendations from your adult kids, they are at a different stage of life than you are. If you are in your late 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you are in the preservation, protection, and distribution of your money, taking your money out, spending it down, and enjoying life. Your kids, whether in their 30s, 40s, or 50s, they're most likely in the accumulation phase, where the number one goal for them is to grow their money as much as possible to get them to that retirement age so that they can now shift from that accumulation phase to the preservation and protection phase. So, any type of advice you're getting, whether it's from social media, Instagram, whether you're getting it from the, traditional cable news, print news, from the internet, or even from friends or families, you have to consider where the information is coming from and look at it from that viewpoint of, I have to understand this is coming from X place and I'm in Y place. You have to understand where it's coming from, why the advice is being given, and is it really the appropriate thing for you? And, it's all about having that plan in place and making sure that you have a safe and steady, reliable stream of income in retirement. Because once you secure that, you can be as aggressive as you want to be. You can go out and you can buy Apple and Nvidia, and, I think I just saw a new stock that says this is going to be the next one coming up, the next new Amazon, because it's producing X certain amount of chips or whatever it is. You can go do that and you can swing for the fences because stock market drops 20 or 30%. That stock drops 20 or 30%. I have the income that I need. And that really is the bottom line when it comes to retirement planning is you want that boring. You want that safe, secure income coming in, because once you do that, whatever you're not using to secure that income, that's the money you can be super aggressive with, or you can be super conservative with. It's really all about making sure that you're going to have the retirement that you've always dreamed of at the end of the day.
to sit down with the team and talk about your retirement, go to the website, which is the SavvyInvestorRadio.com. There's a place for you to put a little information there, and the team will reach out to you, or you can also reach out to the team at 866-597-1040. That is all the time that we have on the Savvy Investor Radio Show and podcast for this week. Lawrence, I'll give you the last word on this one.
This is Lawrence Kiley. Thank you for listening to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and podcast.
And this is Ryan Herbert. We'll see you, the Savvy Investor, next week.
Advisory services offered through ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, a registered investment advisor. Insurance licensed in Maryland. ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if ProStatus Financial Advisors Group is licensed in your state, please call 410-863-1040. ProStatus Group, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through representatives of ProStatus Financial Advisors Group.